Deb Fisher. I'm the Executive Director of the Rehoboth Beach Writers Guild, and I want to welcome all of you here tonight. It is 2 days before Thanksgiving, and I am so thankful for the Rehoboth Beach Writers Guild. I'm going to name a few people, so we can clap all at the end, because I have a few people. I'm going to take this pre-Thanksgiving night to thank a few people. But I want to begin by saying I am thankful for every single person in this room. And I don't know all of you well. And some of you I have met only once before. But you are here tonight because you care about words and you care about writing. And we live in a place and a time where people are spewing words thoughtlessly. And so it is all that much more important to be surrounded by people who truly care about words. I am thankful for those of you who have been or are in my novel class, because when I think about writing a novel, I think about what an overwhelming, daunting task that is. And there are a handful of people in this room who are in the midst of doing just that. And I am so thankful for the people in my memoir and my experiments in creative writing class, because every week you show up and you share this slice of your lives with us. And that is amazing. And I am so thankful for Sarah Barnett, who just put out a fantastic newsletter with the help of Chris Heidel. I'm also thankful because Sarah just taught a short story class for the Guild. I was a student in that class, and I wrote my first short story in 20 years because of Sarah and her class. And in that class, I also got to meet our newest Rehoboth Beach Writers Guild member, Keith Phillips. So welcome, Keith, and thank you, Sarah. I am thankful for the president of the Rehoboth Beach Writers Guild, our own Mr. Frank Minnie. And Tom Hoyer, where would we be without Tom Hoyer? And I am so thankful for the orange bucket. Oh, I am thankful for that orange bucket. I am also thankful to all of you who open your homes for book club and for classes. And the other night, Lisa Graff hosted a happy hour so that writers could get together and talk about writing. And I sat in a room on Friday night with about 20 other writers, and we were laughing and drinking and eating, and let me tell you, we have great food at our events. But we were doing all of this, but we were also talking seriously about the difficulties of writing, and about the loneliness of writing, and the struggles, and about those days when we wonder, what the hell are we doing? And I was thinking of that today, and then I was thinking about how month after month after month for nearly 7 years, despite all those difficulties, here we are, writing and reading and sharing our work. So I am thankful. As you know, we don't usually do introductions, but our first reader tonight, we are celebrating her, and I've asked Frank Minnie to give her a little introduction. She's going to read just a little bit longer than that 300-word minute I've given special dispensation. But here is Frank Minnie to introduce Fran Hassan.
Thank you, Mary Beth. In the introduction, what I wanted to say to you is that my good friend Fran has been coming to Free Rights now ever since the last convention. And it's just remarkable what has happened. And I look across this room at all the members that we have. We go back probably 6 years when the first Free Right was 6 people twice a month. And now we're doing Free Rights 4 times a week, sometimes 5 times a week. The book that Fran has just completed, this one, got started free write, and that's why I'm bringing it up. And even though Mary Beth insists I was diving in dumpsters to find this box, it's not true. It's not true, folks. I roamed the beach after a Northeastern and picked it up. And I couldn't figure out what it was. I thought it was like the top of a banister. And I thought, well, what am I going to do with this? And I put it back, dropped it, and the top fell off. And inside was a package. And I didn't know what this package was. I took it to a policeman friend to see if it was contraband, and assured me it wasn't. I took it home, and my wife said, I think it's Fido or Ambula, and get it out of the house. So I took it outside, and it started to fall apart in the rain. So I decided that I would take it to a free write and show it to participants. Gail picked it up. I'd like to take that home. I could write something. I said, sure. And about 6 months later, she brought it back. She said, I'm cleaning out my bed. I'm cleaning out underneath my bed, and I found this. I'm bringing it back. I said, oh, no, you took it. It's yours. And Fred said, I'll take it. And she said, I think I could write something. In less than 2 years, she's produced this wonderful book. So, Fran, would you come up and read that?
Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Pretty good. Thank you for that introduction, Frank. Now, in my book, Aloe, my character, Marla, is the one who found the ashes, and she found them on the Fenwick Island beach, not the South Bethany beach. Now, her box of ashes was a lot more attractive looking. It had some words around it. And she was just so excited about this box that she was obsessed with the box and had to find out where it came from and whose ashes they were. And the different clues that she pursued led her to the Virgin Islands, to St. Croix. And I used to live in St. Croix, so I actually wanted to set my story on St. Croix. So she went with the ashes to St. Croix to try to find who the owner was. And when she got there, she found out the person was actually murdered. And he was murdered by some voodoo men, some Obeah men, who started chasing her and her husband Vern. So now, tonight's topic is, it was a dark and stormy night. Now in St. Croix, there aren't too many dark and stormy nights unless it's hurricane season. And this was not hurricane season, but this was a very dark and stormy night for Marla because her husband Vern was going out on a scuba diving trip, on a night trip. And when she dropped him off, she noticed this little motorboat was following him, and it was the Obeah men who had been stalking them across the island. So she tried to call him, but there was no cell phone connections. So she and her friend Rosalie sped down to the other end of town to another dive shop. So in her mind, it was a dark and stormy night as she tried to find out what was going to happen to Vern. So I'm going to read just 500 words as she was just worrying and in fear for Vern's life. And if you want to find out how it ends, I have some copies of the book over there you can buy it. But anyway, Marla is at the other dive shop at the other end of town in Frederickston. If you've ever been to St. Croix, this is in Frederickston. An hour passed by, and her inner voice began to waver. Marla sat in the shop. She stood up and read posters, and reread the posters. After the third time, she realized she wasn't absorbing anything, that all meaning had escaped. The inside of the shop was suffocating her. Scott's rolling chair irritated her. The wheels squeaked and the leather seat made a rocking noise as he wheeled from the radio to the file cabinet to the desk. She watched him fill the air tanks. Rosalie helped him report the return fins and snorkels. Marla thought she should offer to help. but she couldn't concentrate on anything. She stumbled into the floor fan and knocked it over. "I'm sorry." This was all she could manage. She set it upright and went outside. She walked around the small wooden building, picking her way between shelves, discarded cans, and racks for diving gear. Music from a bar downtown angered her, making it harder to hear the marine radio inside. When Rosalie went for coffee, she stayed behind, not wanting to miss a call. She ventured onto the beach just yards away from the entrance and sat in the cool sand. Voices came from the direction of the pier. On the beach, 2 young men were heading toward her. As the voices grew louder, she gathered her skirt and retreated to the safety of the shop, fear following her every breath and step of the way. Her heart pounded as they turned toward her, but the beat steadied when they passed in front of the shop and went onto the street and into town. She was afraid that Scott would close the shop for the night, but he refused to leave. It was the code that sailors helped each other. Marla paced between the 2 wicker chairs and the stool inside, sitting on one, then the other, to the straight-back chairs set up at the chessboard outside the shop. She toyed with the chess pieces and watched the horizon. She rubbed the black plastic king and then the white one. She read all the posters again several times, squinting in the light cast by the street lamp and the moon. The Patty Creed, teach the value of character and integrity, stood out, and she peeked back inside to see Scott finishing paperwork for the day and listening for the radio, waiting vigilantly for a call from the Scuba Does. She knew that Scott's Patty flag outside the entrance was well-deserved. Her calm self recognized Bob as a professional too, but her terrified self knew that Sammy and his cohort were ruthless thugs. Sammy and Patty were not compatible. What was their intent in following the divers? Were Vern and the others safe? Was Sammy just using the tracking as an intimidation method? She prayed, but her thoughts were less than pure. She acquiesced, revised her words, and then demanded, "God damn it, help them," and added, "Please." She twisted her ring 3 times, hoping to bring luck. She thought of her mother. She had told her of a fountain that held a magic ring in Nuremberg, Germany, that when twisted 3 times would bring luck. She turned her ring 3 more times. The moonlight reflected off the diamonds as the ring whirled around her finger. And then... Anybody else want to try the box of ashes?
Heather Pulteney.
It was dark, as all days began. The windless trees silent. No soulful sighs, their heads still tucked tightly beneath gray wings. No hungry cries soaring, searching for the slightest movement. Sleep, so unnatural, stilled the valley. The wild dogs, not yet wild, curled together for warmth, their breath even. No dreams worried their legs. Dew had settled softly under the watchful eye of the waning moon. Blades of grass, deep green, under the glistening drops that reflect the sky above, a reflection that was turning, changing, beneath thick gray clouds. Violent purple rushes into scarlet. A storm rumbles in the distance. The dogs curl tighter, pushing into each other. Ancient oaks dig deep, sensing a change in the air, sensing electricity. The ground trembles with anticipation. Flowers begin to breathe, to open. Roots seek out the coming rain. Stems that normally lean toward the sun shudder in confusion, desire to move, to dance for the rain. But the wind denies them, denies the clouds the chance to escape. Leaves want to rustle on the trees, but the wind just whispers, "It's coming, it's coming." The storm will bring the crack of lightning to the valley, to this valley, still veiled in silence. The clouds gather, tightly building into darkness. The air stands still, as if the sky is sucking in all breath. Sucking, sucking, and then, crack. Lightning breaks the sky, cutting deep into the oak, scarring the earth, causing it to bleed into ash. But then the sky opens, sheds tears, for the birds still asleep, for the dogs not yet wild, for new silence in the sleeping valley.
Reading for the first time, Austin Chandler.
Okay, hi. The poem I'm going to read is about falling in love for the first time and how it can consume you and alter who you are. It's about making a decision to break free from that and develop your own person before falling in love again. But first, I'm going to read a poem called Silent But Raging War. It's kind of like what was going on with me inside my head before I finally made my decision on the problem I was dealing with. So, here goes. Why does the heart always defeat the mind, sabotaging the soul and blinding the eyes to the simple logic right around the corner? Why are the dumbest decisions looking like the best path, staring at the outer shell of the situation and glorifying its core? Why does it hurt so bad to face the truth, even if it's a good outcome for me? Fighting back and forth in my mind. Is it worth losing him? Why can't logic defeat emotion, squeezing its way in my thoughts and shoved right back out by drops of doubts and showers of hope? And here's a poem. The Wind. In the end, mind conquered heart. Logic slowly threading into the soul, and assurance snipping away petty excuses and glorified hopes. Rose vines constricting the chest, squeezing, tightening, as thorns penetrate the heart, stabbed ample times, for the heart has lost this brutal battle. Now withered and torn, shriveled to nothing, only a subtle beat still climbs its way out to show it remains. Eating a deceivingly delicious poisoned apple, and realizing what was within its core before it was too late. Already took a delicious bite with certainty and stubbornness, and now it suffers the evil consequences. But the glow, the beautiful glow deep within has blinded the vines and scared them away, for the poison has dissolved. The thorn vines are replaced with ruby red roses, bursting open, glistening, as a blinding but beautiful glow quenches their thirst with relief. For the horizon is now abroad, the sun peeking out in greeting, the pinky salted water crashing over the stones embedded in the sand, the beautiful view that shall be. Ripping out the stakes lodged into the hands, pinned to the ground, blood rippling down the bony yet strong finger, a reminder of the ever so increasing strength and what's to come. The tape has been torn that restricted thy mouth, restraining the deep and coiled obvious from spewing out. And with the faith that rages through the veins and ripples on the surface of the muscles, I shall overcome this obstacle, in which it is Christ who strengthens us, stealing our pain, prying it from the surface of our tattered skin, crumpling it up into a ball, and tossing it away into the never-ending black hole of anguish. From many relieved souls, who have also found their way out, for I am pinned down no more. I am free. Thank you.
the first time is Austin's mom, Melissa.
I wanted to say that I'm grateful and thankful for my daughter, Austin Gardowski, for helping me come to write again. This poem is about having writer's block, and I'm sure any of you know that that's not a fun thing to have. I had it for a very, very long time, and only recently, while helping Austin edit the poem, one of them that she just read, it sort of dislodged some kind of boulder, and it was like a spring that just welled up, and the words came again. And so I sat down after helping her and wrote this poem. It's called The Awakening. The seeds have been sown, one by one, settling into their bed of earth, meticulously watered, each one labeled. Love lost, mistakes made, death dealt, dreams decayed. A special one marked with the patter of tiny feet. This one watered lovingly, its soothing cocktail sickeningly sweet. Soon the seeds burst, reach out spindly roots. The first sprout of death springs forth, popping its crown from the earth, unfurling its leaves for the first time. Tended and encouraged, the tentative vines grow strong, stretching along the ground, seeking ever more sustenance. No longer content to be tended with the mere shower from a can, they curl menacingly around the lips of the well, sensing the treasures to be found within. Jack with his beanstalk could never have imagined such insidious plans. Sulphurous and deadly, the vines snake down into the well, slowly, ever deeper, sinking unseen into the depths, coiling their barbed tentacles, seeking their noxious venom. Water, once teeming with life, now lay stagnant, contaminated, as the venom plays out its wicked hand, dissolving all resolve, silencing the heart. Its stuttering rhythm chokes one final beat. Silence. Now the vines, satisfied with their destruction, lay gloating, content and bloated with their stolen booty, overconfident in their victory. But alas, the battle was won, though not the war. For in the darkness sparks the faintest light. A thought is born, a familiar craving, the scratching of pen to paper, the transition of word to music, a caterpillar breaking free from its cocoon, a magnificent butterfly. Origins unknown, is it a divine gift? An echo of what once was? The tenacity of life? Never mind the past. Skating the surface of the vile pool, seemingly unfettered, zipping beneath the surface, this way and that, with purpose, its direction clear. The thought seeks the giant asleep in her lair. A subtle nudge, a whisper in an ear, and the massive eyes blink to spy that which dared to disturb her slumber. Then an adoring smile stretches slowly across the giant's face. She gently reaches out, offering a finger for the thought to alight. The vines, sensing their impending doom, recoil their scaly tentacles back into the darkness, where they seethe, where they writhe, awaiting their next opportunity. But their rest will be long, for the soul sleeps no more. Fully awakened, she has reclaimed her throne, assuming her mighty position, shining her light affirming light over all which she reigns. Rust is now oxygen, what was stagnant now flows. The spring, no longer content to remain within the well, swells. Undulating, it rises, overflowing its tenuous walls. The well is a river, the river a sea. Waves crashing in exultation against the stacks which meet them at the shore. Old friends bracing for joyous reunion. The waves carrying with them the light and the life. Thunder to the shore, reaching for the sky. For a moment, just one fleeting, weightless moment, they fly. And it is this moment that hand reaches for the pen, two lost lovers embrace.
And also reading for the first time, Jessica Carpenter.
When storm clouds gather, can't you hear it? The wind in the trees, lightning flashes. Mom, come see! The rain is coming, quenching our ground, touches everything, completely surrounds. result, more intense, quicker dissolved. For in losing everything, it allows our crops to grow. From something small, weak, strength can come out of the sorrow. As the storm passes like time, the clouds clear, crops doing fine. The corn grew up, fast, tall, strong. This, my friends, is a farming song.
Ann Caldwell.
I want to just take a moment to thank everybody here at the Rehoboth Writers Guild, and especially Mary Beth Fisher for welcoming the University of Delaware. I'm a professor at the university, and some of my students are reading tonight. And I think it's so important to have a community of writers outside of the university that appreciates words and that can show that there is a huge community who care about the emotional content of people's lives. I'm reading a poem, so thank you all. I'm reading a poem tonight that just came out yesterday in a magazine called Prime Number. And if any of you are looking for a place to send work, it's a great place. Clifford Garstang is the editor, and he has a very open mind about all different kinds of poetry and fiction. And this is a very short piece of poetry called Storm, and it's from my son Thomas. My son Thomas just got married this year. So, you know, everybody who's ever been through it just went, oh. It's wonderful and a very emotional time. And this is a poem that looks back to when he was 3. Tom is my stepson, but his father, James, and I have been together since he was 1. So I always tell him, I didn't carry you in my body, but I carry you in my heart. And it's a poem about looking back at that time. And we were lucky because a lot of the things that went wrong in our life went wrong young. So, this is called Storm for Thomas. When you were 3 and we lived in the basement and our lives were peeling apart like cheap shoe leather, shredding under the strain of wear, and we couldn't see that we had no money because of the drinking, and we had no time because we pissed it away, and we were young and foolish and in love, and we loved you like air. And I was auditioning for Stepmother, a part I wouldn't know how to play until I was almost done playing it. There was one summer afternoon when the sky darkened and the wind picked up, and we watched the leaves shift like the minnows you caught in the creek out back, turning all at once, their iridescent backs flashing to the black sky. And the rain started in big drops, and we knelt together on the upholstered stool from your grandmother's house in front of the tiny, dirty window in the living room, and we watched the lightning flash and tried to see its bright blade and tried to count how many seconds until the thunder sounded, and you said you weren't afraid. And I flashed a bright smile and looked back out of the corner of my eye at your father, who was sitting in an easy chair, to see how I was doing, to see if he was loving me. And what I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was that all these 20 years between that one and this would be just like that, a bright flash, and counting the slow seconds until it comes back.
Also reading for the first time, and Jacqueline, you have to follow your teacher. That is tough. But Jacqueline Disharoon.
All right, I titled this, I Love a Good Storm. Winds of passion storm my heart. Drawing closer to you, I search for warmth. Your lips work like flint against mine. Static bliss off your soft lips kiss. You move through me like electric in the sky. Our hearts beat together, creating thunder in my chest. Your hands shower me with the sensations that I desire. Raindrops trickling down, tracing the pain in my body. You fall heavy on me, quenching my thirst. Waves of ecstasy crash together, tossing me into the undertow. As winds grow stronger, the sensations turn to sweat. Beads roll down the hills of my body, washing away the sunlight's kiss. All of the affairs of the day gather themselves together in the small of my back to be soaked into the night. The storm so alive has reached its peak. The rain begins to subside. The heat that clouded us before it lies like fog across our skin. Our hearts now overflowing. We are left intertwined. Night takes its place as I fall asleep in yours.
Trustee Dugan.
This poem is for my family that so graciously adopted me, that I met recently. I go to festivals with them, and music festivals, and it's called Break from the Storm. The rain, sudden, around 6 a.m. on a sleepless Saturday. It wasn't a violent rain, but steady enough to scatter anyone still awake, to seek shelter at campsites, in sleeping bags. Some choose to thrust on to see the sunrise. I wait out the storm, only my thoughts join me in my tent. Camp is quiet, but I do not feel alone. The people I love most are in one place, at one festival, and sleeping just feet away. I am not alone. Twice a year we have 3 days to share. 6 days to lie under home tree, to glow in star camp. 6 days to feel the drum beat, dance with the fire, become one with the earth. 6 days to forget about cell phones and meat and minimum wage. 6 days to escape from the brutal storm of life. 6 days give me the strength to weather the other 359. It is fall, my 5th festival. The rain goes on, slow and steady. The white noise it makes as it dances down my tent lulls me into a daydream. Our Patrick family living together under one roof, growing, learning, working together, building something self-sustained, strong, secure, free from greed, polluted media, and pesticides, maybe in a hidden valley, tucked away from the rest of the world. We'll grow crops, milk cows, sew our clothes. We'll live in the earth like hobbits, or up in the trees with the fairies. The sunrise and the smell of campfire pull me back to reality. It's Sunday morning. The rain has stopped for now. I prepare to embrace the raw mountain air and the thought of leaving. Our utopia would mean never having to say goodbye, but I would miss the first hugs, the feeling of coming home and being whole again.
Paul Dyer.
Warning for the U of T students. I think it was stuff like this that got me escorted from the campus as many years ago. Fragrance. Fragrance. Vanity Fair magazine, December 2012. It pops from its plastic wrapper with a gust of, well, fragrance. It falls open and I'm staring at a man, a rugged, handsome man with some stylish stubble. Certainly a chick magnet. And in front of him, a bottle of, well, fragrance. Aha, fragrance. Why haven't I thought of that? The path to the end of my aching loneliness. Ah, salvation. My name is. I look at the bottle. B-V-L-G-A-R-I. Salvation. Thy name is Rebel Gary? Bulgari? My name is in need of another vowel. And then I notice the page is flipped over. Lift to experience, the flap says. I do. Underneath the flap, the words, a sensual, elegant fragrance, which embodies every man's masculine charisma. Indeed, it must be true, for I find that my right hand now reeks of masculine charisma. And completely on its own, keeps seeking out the naked lady on page 158. And 162. My left hand, possibly feeling lonely and abandoned, frantically flips the pages and finds a beautiful woman. Wow, left hand lifts the flap and soon is overwhelmingly coated with the decidedly feminine fragrance of Coco, Mademoiselle. And moments later, the two hands meet and are soon entwined in raging passion. It lasts for days. My requests for food are ignored. Personal hygiene is forgotten. Without showers, I begin to develop my own disturbing fragrance. But as sometimes happens, the relationship turns dark and stormy. Mistrust, jealousy, one hand caught, well, red-handed with another partner. And so cooler hands finally prevail. I stand under the spray of a hot shower as the last remnants of masculine charisma swirl away, along with my faded, fragrant dreams.
Jack Gardner.
I'm going to read three short poems. Two definitely deal with dark and stormy night, and the other is a mood that I think is appropriate for dark and stormy night. Christmas carry. Oh, Christ, it was cold. Snow and hunger for Christmas. A wide river crossed once more. Fast-flowing ice floes from shore to shore. Ferried by Marblehead men and blubbers, many black, who pulled us over and returned with their boats for others. Tired heroes carried us that freezing night. Commander, massive, quiet, impassive. Yankee leaders unknown, but heard and seen. Fat, bookish Knox, Nathaniel Greene. We'd know him well in the southern hell. What did we carry along the icy tracks? Too little on frostbitten feet, coatless backs. Memories, feet, and a little to eat. Canteens, cartridges on the Delaware, and freedom and the future everywhere. Unrecalled. Signs with names forgotten stand at corners of streets and counties nationwide. Kirkwood, Sumter, Greene, soldiers once, now places unrecalled. Explorers are names of products vanished. DeSoto, LaSalle, Hudson. Some survive strangely. DeKalb's cornfield. Is it nourished by his 11 wounds at Camden and the tears of his widow and orphans in Europe long ago? Harrison, Tecumseh, Jackson, Weatherford. Do we know the worlds they fought for? Their issues yet remain. Conjure means who just joined them. And unsucceeding Southerns in blue. Farragut, Thomas, Drayton. They led 100,000 others who fought for Union. Where are their badges, shades, and signs? Lost to a lost cause, now discredited, whose monuments disgrace county seats, memories unrecalled. finally, this was written for a couple of weeks ago for a Halloween reading of Shakespeare and Edgar Allan Poe up at Rockwood, north of Wilmington. On such a night, fright, this spooky evening with bravado, toast Ed and Will in Amontillado, a noted kind of shack for sherry, cousin to the mermaid's canary. Pitting your glasses in celebration and ringing, singing tintinnabulation like bells, 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 ever, ever, evermore. Toast lost ladies loved in yore, boyish Viola, lost Lenore, divine Hecate, Annabel Lee, misty memory by the sea, wizened witches with their brew stirring while bats are whirring, black cats purring, spells, 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 ever, ever, evermore. On this evening dark and dreary, groan and groan, redly, beery, for villains gone like Dick of Gloucester, Montresor, Iago, may they foster a quaking, shaking shiver on the source of the Styx River, hell's wells, 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 ever, ever, evermore. This night, dear friends, please beware, lest ye be pursued by a bear, a ghost raised by Shakespeare. Now that'll make you quake in fear, or your mind's piteous overthrow by Bellwall Park conjured by Poe, that knells, 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 ever, ever, evermore.
It is a dark and stormy night. I am trapped in an airtight metal tube, hurling through the ebony sky at 30,000 feet. A savage summer gale has turned this airbus into a bullet that's gone berserk. Lightning blazes outside the window. Or is that my life flashing before me? I'm going to die. As my hysteria builds, I survey the other passengers. Amazingly, no one seems to have a clue that we are seconds away from a horrendous crash. They continue to chat, eat, drink, even laugh. What is wrong with them? I don't like flying. It's the culmination of my fears and neuroses. Heights, claustrophobia, sudden and violent death, loss of control, stuffy recycled air, and being forced to make small talk with strangers. I don't care about statistics. I know I'm safer in the air than on the road. I'm still convinced that we are doomed. Yet my fear doesn't prevent me from boarding a plane. Even I know that flying is the quickest route from point to point. So I grit my teeth, inhale some pills and alcohol, and I follow a few survival strategies. Number 1, choose your seat wisely. Avoid the front of the plane. It bores into the earth first. The rear means a bumpier ride. The best is over the wing aisle seat. Easier to escape when the plane goes down in flames. Number 2, get to know the pilot and the flight crew. Don't be shy. Tell them that you would appreciate frequent personal updates, preferably in a soothing, reassuring voice that mimics Walter Cronkite. Number 3, cozy up to your seatmates. You never know when you may need to sit on their laps, cling to them, and engage them in a panic-stricken dialogue about death. The next one, work on your mental state. People say when your number is up, it's up. It's a fatalistic view of life. My response is, what if the pilot's number is up? Why does my number have to be up too? I no longer try to figure this one out. Instead, I relinquish any illusion of control, which, when you think of it, is not a bad way to live. Finally, if you land, get down on your knees and thank the flight crew and all those passengers who tolerated you. Most of all, give an extra big hug to the pilot who somehow managed to take off, fly, and land this humongous hunk of metal, even on a dark and stormy night, all without your help.
And another first-time reader, Ryan Gross.
Hey guys. So I wrote a poem in order to call it an order from the lyrics of Above the Law from Bad Meets Evil, Deal from Eminem and Royce the 5'9". The lyrics are, sometimes life seems so unfortunate, that's why I don't give a shit. Poor stay poor, the rich get richer, it's just so disproportionate. Please keep in mind that this is slightly, maybe a little darker, but keep an open mind. I can't help but sympathize for your pain, as it's the kind where you're lost and have no direction, as the clear liquid that burns your throat tries to extinguish the fire of resentment in your soul, only to open up old wounds. And I'm not talking about the ones that cripple the strongest, but the emotional paper cuts that heal. Leave a scar and open up again, like it's an acceptance. The gentle jabs to the chest that will learn to cope with a second nature. The smoke that fills your lungs mixes with a blissful ignorance as you're couch-locked, staring at the color-changing glass, the blues and the reds swirling into a complacent purple. And you wonder how this came to be. Was it the firstborn, the one you had at 17 that opened one door and slammed the rest shut? Or was it the get-rich-or-die-trying mentality, rushing your way to the top of the social ladder just so one person could knock you down? Lady Luck played a part as a bitch gave you a shitty hand and you landed in jail. You didn't pass go. And I pray that you cling on to those who you love, those who would die and do anything they can do to save you. And hope that they stay by your side as you brave this hellish storm, as it's going to take something more than a bottle of blood to survive.
Sarah Barnett.
Well, when I heard tonight's topic, the first thing that came to my mind was Snoopy, Peanuts character, who frequently saw himself as a world-famous writer. He was trying too hard to write a story. All his efforts began with the same line. I decided to finish his story for him. Snoopy, of course, didn't know he was a dog. And you might remember that his doghouse was much bigger on the inside than it was on the outside. It was a dark and stormy night. I just got back from the round-headed kids, my dish in my mouth. Opposable thumbs sure would come in handy. Still, I had it pretty good for a beagle. I was looking forward to an evening by the fire. Read my usual one word of War and Heath. A round of pool with Woodstock. I sniffed the air. Someone had been in the living room. Then I saw it. Or rather, I didn't see it. My priceless Van Gogh. A black hole over the mantel. Gone. That evil cat. Wasn't satisfied with burning my house down twice. Now she wanted my stuff. I went to check downstairs. Who is that asleep on the pool table? A shapely blonde. Hair the color of a golden retriever. I nudged her cheek with my nose. Excuse me, miss. You're drooling on the cloth. Her basset hound brown eyes looked into mine. I'm sorry. I just closed my eyes for a minute. Are you the world-famous writer? Right now, I'm the pissed-off detective. I'm hunting my painting. Beagles on the beach. I brought it down here because your ceiling was leaking. Sure enough, she laid it on top of the ping pong table. I should thank you, I said, but why did I break into your house? Yeah, I tried to growl, like Humphrey Bogart, but it sounded more like Mickey Mouse. I'm a writer, Blondie said. I'm stuck. Can't get past the first line. It was a dark and stormy night. Listen, doll face. Now I did sound like Bogey. If I've learned one thing as a world-famous writer, it's this. Never start with weather. Thank you, she breathed. Our faces were so close, I wanted to lick her cheek. What should I start with? I had to think fast. Well, I said, you could try Once Upon a Time. Gary Hanna.
I've got two short storm poems, but I spent most of my adult working life in Washington, D.C. And the thing I miss most about living over here in the spring of English, that's where I'm from, Indiana. The storms we have here are just unique. Out there, the black line begins to form across the horizon, and the central storm, those big cloud towers up to cumulonimbus, just 10,000, 20,000 feet high. They're just massive, and they're coming. You know they're coming. And when they get close, pressure drops and the doors start to slam in place. And then when it hits, it's just extraordinary. It's nature at its very best. It's just beautiful. And as I say here, these puny little things that we get So this first story, our first poem is called In Front of the Soul. It's coming, closing fast. I can't see it, but the trees tremble, and I know it's coming. First the noise, loud but far off. Like wind beginning, it grows steadily, big but fast moving, surprisingly fast moving, rising to a roar. Bombs threaten the air. The sky cracks like a bullet of white, jagged, tearing like pain. It is deafening, rain like rain driving steel, relentless, pounding, widening the eye. The din is overwhelming, the tumult is everywhere, and I am overcome by the rage of its fury, awestruck by its majesty. Motionless, I stand upright, stiffened like a board. Right at me. It's coming right at me. Wham! All around me, spinning, hair rising, and I am lifted with unspeakable beauty. It's a different kind of story. It's for all of you who've been married a long time. Long-term relationship, something like that. It's called Sudden Storm. Though not in the forecast, you know it's coming. Black line spreading against the sky. Then the temperature drops, and the wind begins to swirl, whipping in intensity as the lake darkens. Electricity flies, and you know you cannot avoid confrontation, that you may get tossed. Things around you may get bounced and broken. Then just at the moment you don't expect it, it explodes, spews out its fury, rain driving down like bullets, big drops so thick you can't see through the raging clouds. You endure, wait, take the pounding, and then just as quick, it's gone. And the light comes, the world comes, the sidewalks clear of oil and dirt, even debris shreds, and you're so glad to make up again.
You might recognize our next writer who has a feature in Delaware Beach Life magazine, Shane Lowley.
Hello? Well, lately there's been a lot of violence over between Israel and Gaza, and a lot of bombs, and well, this is about that. Currents rumble in the ground, rising and falling in a river of earth and cement. White heat flashes in the sky, screaming the agony and sorrow. There are the audible patterns of feet. They are panicked and hurried. Hands hold on the hook. It's a family and life. Inside, the ceiling is breaking. Outside, the sky is falling. The beast rises, laughing. It is a cloud of darkness, red glowing inside with every beat of the heart. It fills the night like a storm. It climbs over cities, casting a bronze glow in the snaking streets. Nothing is heard but the bellow of attack. Nothing is seen but the fire. Why search for anything else when all else is black? The beast reaches out to grasp a desperate heart. Chests heave, nostrils fill with smoke. Smiles are wiped with grief. It doesn't stop. The pain doesn't leave. Others watch unflinching. Others run away. They abandon themselves as well as us. They run towards dawn, which only makes clear horror once hidden. The dice is rolled, phase unveiled. Who has won? Who sheds the light of good on the stains of spilled blood? Those who love their people protect them by hurting others? Why do they belong to you? What makes them different from the people you kill? You pull no trigger, draw no weapon. The only thing worse than evil is having others become it in your stead. Rain is the drop of tears. We feel the cold of each drop. We stand the wrong and dismiss the right, because both are uncertain. So why do we bother to talk of good? Why do we try to fight the beast inside of us? Why do we hope when it is met with hate? We might as well give up, give in to the thing that has us bound in anger. We don't let go, because something inside of us is strong enough to love.
Harriet Leisure.
Thank you all. Bear with me. Okay. Dark and stormy nights in my childhood were marked by my grandmother, Mishi, roaming through the house, closing windows, sprinkling holy water on our beds. She took no chances, my grandmother. My dad loved storms and would sit on the screen porch and watch the lightning and enjoy the thunder. I think it was to spite her. But I was not scared. During my late teens and early adulthood, I began to have my very own terror attacks. During spring and summer in Washington, the storms often came in the late afternoon, just as I was leaving work to catch the streetcar home. As the clouds gathered, I found myself ducking into doorways, hugging buildings, trying to shrink lower than my fellow walkers so the lightning would get one of them instead of me. I became so paralyzed with fear, I quit my job. I was afraid to stay alone, so I would find excuses. to stay with my in-laws or my parents. My in-laws were much more patient with me than my father, so I wound up there most of the time. My friends were tired of my hysteria and of watching me jump behind the couch or the chair or hide in the closet, shrieking to avoid that bolt with my name on it. My poor husband was baffled, and I'm sure angry, but never mean. He was unfailingly kind. Finally, I went to see a psychiatrist. He put me on tranquilizers, but by that time I had already discovered that liquor was quicker. I became so overwhelmed with fear and dread, I asked to be hospitalized. The doctor agreed and sent me to the psych ward of a local hospital. I was settling in, trying to avoid the windows at all costs, when I noticed women coming back from their electric shock treatments. They were stunned and bewildered. Now that really scared me. I left the hospital against medical advice and decided I would take my chances getting my electricity straight from God and not some overeager psychiatrist.
And our last reader for the night is Tom Hoyer.
It's nice to come last, because by then the average has been 7 seconds. So here we are. I idly click on the television set and wait. The sound and color come up slowly. I see a dark and stormy night. Sheets of rain mostly obscuring the camera's view. What's on? Maybe Sebastian Junger's Perfect Storm has come to television? Maybe I'll see Gregory Peck as Ahab lashed to Moby Dick by the ropes of his own harpoons. Or maybe we'll cut to interior shots of an English country house where a murder has taken place. I wait for it. The strong voice of the omniscient narrator rises above the roar of the wind and the rain. It's Hurricane Katrina. I'm watching Storm Stories. The Weather Channel calls it the worst of nature, the best of man, a gripping series of the untold stories of man's encounter with the ravages of nature and the real-life heroes who rescued them from the storm. And there are more. Iceberg hunters, turbine cowboys, tornado central, storm riders, and these are just a sample of the Weather Channel's current offerings. A few years ago on the Weather Channel, you could learn the current temperature. The much discussed dew point. You could even see through the magic of Doppler radar the expected rain creep up on you. That should have been enough. But no. These days you must be careful to discern whether you're seeing today's weather or a weather rerun. Some dramatic storm from the past. The Weather Channel has adopted the hallmark vices of commercial television. From ESPN, it has adopted the endless replays of current and past weathers. From the other channels, the practice of showing weather reruns, syndicated like old Law and Order episodes. If I wanted to live in the past, I tune into the History Channel or Turner Classic Movies. Why can't the Weather Channel live in the present where I live?
We will be back here in December. We have a holiday theme, addictions and obsessions. I already have people signed up, so if you do want to read, please, I'm not joking, that is the topic. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and thank you for being here.